Oh yes, legends. Hope you're doing absolutely wonderful. Let's analyze the situation here for the price of Bitcoin altogether. Make sure to smash up the like button if you do enjoy the content, and we'll dive in straight away into the comment section. Say hello to the wonderful legends. Guys, we're not SFPing here successfully. We're not SFPing successfully from the April lows. For the moment, right? For the moment, I do see the price getting exhausted in this area. We're going to talk about it because we do have a lot of support. We are chopping, volume is decreasing, but we are not creating that swing failure pattern successfully. We did get one reaction yesterday, got a nice bounce of a few $1,000s. We'll be going through this, guys, but we are trading beneath that higher low, and the most important zone here is coming down at the low 70K range. Even $68,000 is where we have most of the support. We need to focus on this structure, which is what we're going to do today. Hang on a minute. All right. Let's go. Say hello to the beautiful legends here right away in the comment section and see what's going on. We've got over 200 people watching at the moment. Smash up the like button. It's going down, legends. It's going down. We're not creating that swing failure pattern. We had a good attempt here yesterday. I have to say, I'm trapped in the long position. So yeah, if we don't double bottom here, we're going to have to probably cut losses in this swing long position, okay? Because it's a swing long idea, letting the community know right away at the moment. But still confident that we will not break down massively. So, but for the moment, of course, with this bounce, losing that April higher low, still holding significant amount of that swing short eventually to hedge. This is the good thing about shorting and longing. You can hedge at the moment as well if you still hold significant shorts from higher levels in the last few weeks. But I'm very interested in a swing long. I do know that there is very, very good potential of a significant bounce. The problem is we haven't had any major market structure shift, okay, in this bearish momentum, but it's looking sexy. I can tell you that. It's all a matter of how many lows are we going to create here, okay? Which was a very, very similar environment when we had this price action. You know, a lot of people calling for, 100K, 102K next, right? We did have a lot of that in the comment section. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot of, 65K, 60K and even 50K right now in the comment section. But overall, based on the information that we have on the chart, we are looking for that slowdown, which is slowing down. We got the biggest move that's happened last week, and it makes sense for the choppiness here. It does make complete sense. Of course, you can wick down a couple of $1,000s from current price zone to come down to much bigger support levels. And, the overall question here is, it makes sense for a little bit of a larger range despite taking out the lows again. It does make sense that we could range here for a few more days, even though we're at the lows at the moment. We're going to break down everything here, guys, okay? We'll break down all of the different scenarios with the most bearish one, which is breaking down very aggressively, the one with the lowest probability, right? Smash up the like button. I'm going to quickly say hello. Not good news. Not good news. Time to look for long soon. Yeah, very much. This is my first long attempt, okay, which was originally a swing failure pattern from the lows of yesterday. Of course, now I'm in the negative. It's not nice to see that we haven't reclaimed successfully. We are currently trading beneath, which is something that I don't like. Generally, I would cut the loss already, because if you create a swing failure pattern from a higher time frame level, it's better to get a significant rally and actually correct down, not come down the next day and get already beneath that major pivot. So we don't have any local structure, bullish market structure, which is a shame at the moment, but it's all about management. I have a swing short, of course, still that is hedging against any long attempts. I want to make this long really big, but I know it's not the time to make it big at the moment. It's not the time yet to make it big. We need some bullish market structure change on the lower time frame, which we haven't got, unfortunately. So it seems like a little bit suicidal, like, dude, what are you doing? You know, longs are looking very interesting, but we want to be careful regardless, because we could still drop a few $1,000s, no doubt about it. But it is very, very attractive. It's all of the, you know, we are at that stage currently at the moment with the local move to the downside, as in, how many times are we going to test the low, right? How long is this going to take here till we get that reversal? Will it be this week or will it be next week? You know, that's my main question at the moment. That's my doubt about this range. So, which is a very similar doubt that I had over here, right? Do we test the highs again? You know, we are looking for this pullback to happen in, you know, the next 1 to 2 weeks. When we were trading here at the 97K range, right? Do we hit 90K? Yeah, 98K? Do we stretch our legs to 100K or not? Which did not happen in the end. So that's the same situation here at the moment. I'm not expecting a major breakdown. I'm not expecting a huge breakdown from here, but I understand that the lows and the range could continue. So it could get a little bit choppy. You could wick down a couple of $1,000s, then get the bounce. So that's the highest probability with the information that we have. So we'll break down the different possibilities on the lower time frame. A lot of the people are here, I would assume, mainly for the lower time frame. Higher time frame, nothing has really changed, and the lower time frame is the most attractive at the moment to try and understand, you know, where we at, regardless of the supports that we do have. I mean, 68K zone is the most attractive area. The low 70K, even 68K is on the higher time frame the most attractive, right? The most attractive. I don't see us breaking successfully this area. Of course, we can wick it, we can move down. Anybody that's attempting any falling knives, SFPs, this swing failure pattern from the April lows has, you know, realistically failed, because we are trading beneath that level. Okay, there's no doubt about it. We are trading below the April higher lows. Okay, we had an attempt. We got a little bounce of a few $1,000s after we tested it yesterday, but it's failing. We're trading beneath it. So we just want to be aware that this has, you know, maybe hasn't finished, right? This movement down, and we could push down a few $1,000s more, right, in the next coming days. So we'll break down, most importantly, the lower time frame. Lower time frame here from this latest move down that we've had in the last couple of weeks, even in the last week price action. This is where we need to realize where we are at the moment, right? So let's go through comment section. Say hello to the wonderful legends. Bitcoin needs agenda change. Maybe. Yo, you still in the long? Absolutely, still in the long. It's in the red, and it's not looking great. This is a swing long. This is a very smallish position for me at the moment. But, you know, happy to already attempt, you know, ideally, you know, in a normal world, you know, I would have already closed this short. I would have cut the losses, but I'm going to give the chance of a range and get a, because I understand that a range here is very, very possible. But ultimately, you know, it's already interesting to start attempting some longs. This general trade was based on the swing failure pattern, basically, from the April lows, right? That's the plan that was created. And, you know, we are here to actually trade the, you know, the plans that are created and manage risk. So I'm happy with, you know, with the risk management that I'm taking here on this swing long attempt, but we need to be realistic. We lost the April lows. We kind of got the reaction yesterday, and today we're trading beneath it, which is not ideal, right? So, you know, it does make sense to cut the loss in this case. Small little loss, just cut it and realize that it's not the moment to bounce successfully yet. So yeah, I mean, we're going to go through what I want to see on the lower time frame. Of course, yesterday we were discussing the different possibilities of of the long position here to form a higher low, you know, we came straight back down to the lows. So there was no higher low. There was no three waver here, get back up. There was none of that. We came straight down to the lows. So there was no long attempt to be taken anywhere in this zone. What we wanted to see here is form a higher low, right? Form a higher low to speculate on that ABC. You needed that leg to the upside, which did not happen, right? We came straight down to the lows. So, and then formed the little swing failure pattern here. Little bounce of a couple of $1,000. Now we're trading back below. This doesn't look too bullish. This movement doesn't look extremely bullish. So we might have a combination here in a complex structure. We're going to break them down today, okay? Bear with me here because we do have some stuff that I want to break down in today's live stream, okay? I'm sure a lot of you do know about the higher time frame already, even the 4-hourly time frame. What are the scenarios that we are looking for here? But I think it's important for any new subscribers, for any new people that were not watching the live stream in the last couple of days, to understand what we're looking at here on the higher time frame. Because based on the higher time frame, based on this movement to the downside and the movement that we got down from all-time high, wide, and also the support that we start getting here, April higher low, we got lots of support in between 70k and 68k, which we're not too far away, and why it makes sense here to start getting ready for swing long positions for a major bounce of $5,000-$10,000 potentially that could take a couple of weeks. Okay, it takes time. Right now the bullish scenarios very, very locally, they're not that great. It seems like that the lows want to be tested again, with no doubt, okay, at 72.8k. Looks like that we want to test those lows potentially throughout the stream, okay? And we're going to see if we do break down from that level, or do we actually get a reaction and a bounce, okay? But the structure is looking bearish. No market structure change here on the lower time frame. SFP failed. We failed to get that back test, that corrective structure here to get that move up. No major bullish CVDs, and we lost the April higher low, which eventually is not giving that great sign for a successful swing failure pattern as of yet, right? As of yet, we are trading beneath that higher low, and that is not making it too sexy, okay? So anyway, let's go right away. Just going to trade it, assuming super cycle is a flop. Some of us have added here, I like the optimism, but also parking cash at the next level. Interesting. Maxi, much love. I've been more interested in learning Elliot wave theory. Was wondering if I could recommend the best book to buy on this. Well, look no further. Elliot wave principle. The Elliot wave principle book is the top book out there on Elliot wave theory. What is up, my man? Divine Hood, much love, my friend. Curious to hear your take on if we are in a larger fourth wave retrace that could last a week to 3 weeks. Absolutely, my man. Yeah, this is the thing right now. I think is the 4-hourly time frame. I would assume it is this higher time frame, wave 4, that could last quite a long bit. It could be a complex WXY formation. It's still early stages. And yeah, this is something that we're going to break down today, because there's no doubt that we had the largest move down last week here. This was the largest move that we've had throughout the last few months. Since November, we haven't seen such a significant move down. So there's two major options here. We could create a little bit of noise here. That's totally fine. You know, I'm aware of the noise that could be formed here. Not breaking down like, you know, $10,000 to go to the low 60k levels. I think that's not going to happen from this zone. You know, there's lots of support here at the 70k region. There's just lots of it, and the biggest move already happened. So I'm aware of a little bit of noise here. A little bit of noise and getting some bounces is, you know, what we would expect in this zone. Okay, so I don't think we're going to get any big major moves, because the big move already happened, right, throughout the last 2 weeks. Divine Hood, much love to you. We will break down a little bit of the freestyle scenario here. Do we form a larger wave 4? Or do we have multiple 1-2s in this case, where we have a 1-2, we have another 1-2 right there? This is the third wave, and we do actually, start breaking down here in a couple of 4-5s. This is without a doubt a scenario as well. But what is most important is that we've already slowed down in the last few days. This is chopping. This is creating a bunch of noise, and it's chopping, right? Big moves have already happened last week. And this is just, the classic price action that you do form after a big move down, right? So yeah, creating a bit of a choppy price action here to form a few more 4-5s. That is the case that if you have a 1-2, another 1 and 2 here, you form the third wave and you're developing your 4-5 here, and then another 4-5, right? That gets down to the 70K region and then gets the bounce later on, right? Very much aware of that possibility, of course, but also aware of the larger fourth wave here, which could take, as you mentioned, in between a week and 3 weeks. If that is your wave 2 in that running flat that we discussed last week, okay, which was running flat right there, very much a possibility, then if you take, usually wave 4s can be double or triple the price action of wave 2. And when you get your fib time extension here, and you get the bottom of your wave, the start of your wave 2 to the end of wave 2, depending on where your wave 3 has ended here, we could form a running flat here. So that could be the low. I mean, yeah, this could go till the end of February, right? Which is about 3 weeks from now, over 3 weeks, when you're crossing the 4-to-1 extension. So yeah, this could range here significantly throughout the next 1 to 2 weeks, as explained, and it could be very, very complex. Okay, you might formed a flat right now. You're going to form an X wave, which is going to be a combination of a WXY that could last for several days, and then form your Y wave later on. Next week you might form a triangle here after forming a bit of noise in this zone, and you might form a flat and then move down in the fifth wave. It's just too early. It is too early, really. It is. When you understand how the market moves and how you want to map the situation of the price action, I know wave 4s are usually rangy and they're very complex, and that brings me with the, what I could give you here as an example. If this is the wave 4, right? This is something that we've been, speculating for many months at the moment, even though this wave 4 is extremely long. But anyway, it can be very, very long. There's no invalidation. You didn't tap into the wave 1 here. So, the structure is what tells you the rules, right? Then there's time and there's the other thing, but structure is what rules here. And the main rules of Elliott wave theory, right? One of the key rules is that a wave 4 cannot overlap, okay, in an impulse your wave 1. So there's no invalidation here, really, even though it's a little bit long. But you can see if this is the wave 4, if you compare it to your wave 2, if this is the correct count, holy smokes, look at this. This is long, it's choppy, it's insanely difficult to follow up, right? You do not know that you're going to form this kind of structure when you're trading here, right? You really speculate on this could be a zigzag up, okay? Then you form your WXY to form your X wave, and then you have a zigzag up in your wave, Y, right? You've got a WXY right there. If we are trading here, not even at the start, at the initial stages of an X wave, holy smokes, I don't know what the heck is going to happen here. What I do understand is that this could be, this could take some time. It could definitely take some time, and we cannot speculate on what is going to form here, right? If that's the third wave and we're going to form that fourth wave here, ranging in the next coming, give or take 1 to 2 weeks. It could be an infinite amount of different corrections on a wave 4. It could be a large triangle. It could be a, complex WXY, which, could be, all sorts. You could have a flat already here, and now you're going to form your X wave that might last, almost a week, and then form a flat here. Okay, then form that flat scenario. that could then later on break down. So, you know, that's the problem at the moment here. It's very, very likely that we do not break down successfully from this point. Okay, it is an option, no doubt. There is the option of it's too bearish and it just ends up breaking down. You know, there's no doubt about it. But I like the idea that we're either going to chop to the downside or that we're going to form a larger fourth wave here based on this scenario, right? It's either a long fourth wave, or in the most bearish case scenario of this impulse is that you have a wave 1, wave 2, you got another wave 1 and 2 right there. Your third wave, you got your fourth wave here creating a bit of noise. Then you create one more low, and then you create another fourth wave and then one more low here to the downside, right? Because the biggest move has happened here, right? So as there's so much support on the higher time frame, which is that value area high, right, of this range over here, you got the resistance support flip, right, from 2024. You know, it's just a lot of support. Point of control is slightly lower, just heading to the 68K zone. And you realize that the biggest move happened last week. So you either create a couple of more 4-5s in this territory, or you form a larger range for that wave 4, right? Which would be this one right over here, as Divine Hood was pointing out, right? Where you know, this is going to extend for another week or two potentially. And then you get that last move down in the wave 5 here internally, right? So we're not going to see major big moves, in my opinion. We've been very much vocal about this in the last few days, right? We don't expect big volatile breakdowns or big volatile pumps in the next coming days. It's still going to be testing lows, little bounces. We're still downtrending, so it makes sense to take out the lows maybe a couple of more times, give or take 72, 71K, but not expecting a fall down right to 60K at this point. It's just likely going to be a little bit of noise either to the downside or a little bit of noise either to the upside, right? And that's currently where we are in this stage, which, you know, obviously makes it interesting for swing longs, depending on how you're managing risk, right? If you're getting into a 100x long position here, right, with 50% of your account, well, that's, you know, bad risk management. That's bad, you know, management right there on your trade. But if you're risking 1.5, you know, of a loss at 70K, you know, that's already, you know, looking for longs with good management, right? I know a lot of people are here to make quick gains, but, you know, in trading, that's far from a reality. You can make quick gains, but you can also make quick big losses, which is what happens. Guys, I needed to do a little quick disclaimer here. As always, thank you very much for joining the stream today. Much love to everybody. Did it a little bit later today because got family around and need to give them a little bit of love. But as mentioned, this content is educational for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. The information provided is not guaranteed to be accurate, guys, or complete. Always conduct your own research before making any financial decision, okay? I'm just a messenger here, right? So, right. Let's quickly go through the comment section. Buying Solana, Link, Aave on spot. You know what? I actually bought some Bitcoin on spot already. Not much, 5% deployed from cash that I have. And I was very vocal about this. I think we're going to have many good buying spot opportunities in the next coming months, but it makes sense for me already to start DCAing a little bit. I was a little bit concerned because you know what happens, cash is trash in the long term, and I've been holding a bit of cash throughout the last few months, and I'm worried about holding cash. And with these price moves to the downside, you know, as soon as we lost $80,000, I know we could go to 60, 50, even 40,000 Bitcoin. You know, I'm happy for that. Okay, I'll just be deploying, DCAing into that, you know, downtrend that we would have in the next coming months. But locally, as mentioned, little bouncers, speculating on some, you know, swing trade setups to the upside makes a lot of sense, right? Investment strategy has nothing to do with trading, right? Strategy, leverage trading has nothing to do. So BTC head and shoulder on the weekly looks creepy. Yeah, also on the daily, I would assume this is the head and shoulder that, you know, a lot of people are speculating on, right? Where we have this. I'm not sure if people are considering this as the right shoulder as well. I would say for a proper scenario, you have the neckline right over here, right? And then you get that bounce here throughout the next, you know, few weeks. It does make sense. This bounce is could be very real. Naturally, if you don't see it on the chart, you're not going to believe it. You'll believe it once it's printed on the chart, right? So we are really speculating on this scenario. That it's one of the movements that could happen, right? We're not here to say it's going to happen. We understand it could. And when we have some local bullish market structure, we can really speculate hard on that scenario, okay? We can really speculate hard once we get a turn of bullish market structure, which we do not have on the 30-minute, 1 hour time frame, right? It's looking very downtrending, still no signs of a reversal. There are signs of reversing, which is this exhaustion, but there's no hard sign, right? Which is what we want to break down here on the 30-minute, okay? Much love to everybody. Thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for smashing up the like button. I'm gonna, just quick hello to the beautiful legends in the comment section, okay? Ciao. I will be going live again on this channel tomorrow, guys. Devil will be here tomorrow morning-ish, depending on where you live. Of course, Devil, the absolute legend. We got CBM here as well, absolute legend. Smash it up for me, guys, and show some support. Andy, is a double bottom possible? It definitely is. This is a zone for potential double bottoms, without a doubt. There is, no doubt for a double bottom. We want to be a little bit cautious for a little bit of a breakdown, wick down here from the lows eventually. We need to break down the lower time frame, okay? We need to break it down, but I want to make the people understand on the higher time frame, right, what we could be looking at. When you get the bars pattern from 2022, holy smokes, you're like, there's no big bounce that's going to happen here. Look at the price action from the peak of at $69,000 here in the blue. This is 2021 peak bars pattern, the entire bear market of 2022. Holy smokes, we've been actually almost mirroring this price action, and you're looking for a bounce here. You're seriously looking for a bounce at this support. I mean, if we are still going to follow this price action, the bounce is going to be terrible. The range is going to be terrible, and it's going to break down later on. Anyway, we're not here to we kind of make everything a little bit of a show, right? But we want to keep it professional overall. Also, so much love to everybody. Much love. Nice trade in gold, big long. Somebody long in here. Ciao, US dollar tether. I didn't know you could trade gold on bluffing. You can trade gold on bluffing. You can trade gold, silver on bluffing. You can trade it on BTC as well. They've added that. Also, I'm actually long on silver. This was mentioned inside of the trading community that, silver is very likely going to bounce at the $70 an ounce range. Okay. And in that swing long, I do think silver could get to $100 again in the next coming weeks. Of course, that is probably going to take a little bit of time, a few weeks potentially, but silver can be traded on bluffing, guys, as well. Gold and silver. And silver is getting that beautiful bounce, okay, throughout the last few days at that 1.618, okay, expansion. And this has been proven a very, very solid level with the history of Bitcoin. When you go into that weekly time frame, you get the bear market, the bull market top to the bear market low, 1.618, 2.618. They can provide resistance or support. Bitcoin provided support. Okay, the 1.618 expansion did provide support every single time on the previous cycles, and it's repeating here on gold. Of course, you've got that weekly order block as well that's giving that help to bounce in the last few days here on silver, as you can see. So anyway, we're not here to talk about silver. We're here to talk about Bitcoin. we're here to talk about Bitcoin mainly. Bitcoin is our favorite asset to look for trading setups. So yeah, if you are interested in trading silver or gold, you can use Bluffin. Bluffin has a great deal at the moment. Register to get VIP status, okay, 20% deposit bonus. But what is most important, where we talked about this silver support bounce, okay, in the community, it's your chance right now to join the trading community, guys. 2 months for free, and it's super simple. What you need to do, you need to send me a DM with the word access, okay? You just need to sign up and deposit throughout one of our affiliates. You get 2 months for free, guys. Send me that DM. Let's hop you inside of the trading community, which we're talking about Bitcoin, other commodities. There's a open chat as well, so everybody can share their own analysis and look for the trading setups as well. So it is a community. It's not only a channel where you get the signals or you just get me talking. It's an actual community, okay? Anyway, let's go through the price of Bitcoin. Yeah, this is not looking too sexy at the moment. Those lows look like they're going to be revisited potentially on stream. Okay, let's talk about the support levels that we do have beneath us here. I mean, daily levels are really down low. Point of control very down here. Also, there's I have to say, there's not insane amount of support in this zone. Okay, there's not very big support. There's a little bit of a gap here in this territory, which is not great, of course, which can bring the price down a few $1,000s. I have to say, if we were to get down to 68,000, I'm going to be I'll be paying very close attention to the local price action, very close attention to the local price action, because I do see that imminent bounce to happen on Bitcoin. Let's go through the 4 hourly time frame, because we need to talk about what are the speculations here, right? What are the speculation bounces to occur at this major zone of support that we have on Bitcoin that can be a little bit noisy and a little bit choppy. We could get some wicks to the downside of a few $1,000s and a little bit of a range formation, in my opinion. But the bullish case scenario, which is not looking wonderful at this point, okay, let's say it's not looking wonderful, which would be that flat scenario where we do have the zigzag move to the upside, right, in a 3-wave structure. We would be looking for a B wave and then the C wave to happen here throughout the next coming weeks. We're still in the range of the B wave, okay, which is the 1.2361382 extension. It's still in the zone. This is higher time frame, right? As explained, there could be a bit of noise in this territory, testing the lows and all of that, which can lower time frame traders are going to be, the ones that are using high leverage and not managing risk. They're going to be a little bit emotional here, down here on the 15-minute, right, to 1 hour time frame. But this is a higher time frame perspective. It's still available. It's still possible. You got that 3-wave move to the upside here. And for the moment, we have a 3-wave down. For the moment, all of this noise could still be internal 4th wave, right? And 5th wave. This is still very one-wavy from 90K that we formed last week. There's a clear move down, a clear stop. And throughout last week, there's still the aggressive move down. There's no major stop yet. There's no bullish market structure change, right? That could be like a bear flag, but then it turns out to be, something bullish, couple of 1-2s, and then break out in a 3rd wave. And everybody's like, holy smokes, where did that come from? I thought it was a bear flag. Well, we haven't got that yet, right? We haven't got that, so we can't, we can't talk about it as in, this is looking good for the bullish scenario. But on the higher time frame, this is still very much a possibility, okay, where you don't want to hit the 1.618 extension in this case, because a B wave target is, do not hit very commonly the 1.618 extension. Like 1 out of 100, you might see a B flat that extends to to 1.618. So you don't have much room here for this to be a B wave of a speculative flat, right? Which would be 3 wave up, 3 wave down. You know, are we finishing the internal 4 and 5s of this C wave? You know, I have to say it's very much a possibility, without a doubt, right? We're just testing the lows, tapping here, you know, a few more times to create that internal few 4-5s. You don't want to get down to the $70,000, okay? For this scenario. For this scenario, this is the 4-hourly time frame, so this could take a few weeks to develop, even all the way up to a month easily. This is a higher time frame possibility that could happen. And you know when this is going to be looking good for a possibility is when you get some impulsive moves on the 15-minute to the 1-hour time frame, right? Zooming in, that you're actually forming some bullish market structure here. You get a wave 1, a wave 2. You might get another wave 1 and 2 right there. It might look like a bear flag. We've got bullish CBDs. We could speculate on multiple 1-2s at that stage, but this is going to take maybe a week or so to start figuring out. And then we can be extremely confident in the long positions. Right now, confident in longs, right, is low. It is a little bit low. We've failed the swing failure pattern. We are trading beneath the April higher lows, but still I think there could be a little bit of noise here. You know, this is mainly a noise territory, mainly a territory to form, wick the lows, $1,000, bounce back up and form a larger range. So anyway, for this scenario, to be confident about the reversal, it is very, very hard to catch the low with a big position, right? We always want to catch the low or catch the high with a massive position, right? Risking 5% of your capital to gain 15-20%, right, in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's very, very hard to do so, right? Catching the lows, realizing the SFPs might not work out, you know, but you know, you need to manage risk like an absolute beast for this scenario. You know, I've attempted it, just wanted to share, you know, that I did, you know, naturally I would close this position as we did lose the April higher lows. But for me, it's a small position. I am still hedging with a heavier position from higher. So this is the beauty about hedging as well. I would want to create a bigger swing long in this territory. But I can have some small attempts thanks to the hedge short position, right? If you're not hedging, if you don't have a bigger short position, it doesn't make it too attractive, right? You want to be very, very selective with the longs, but I do have backup from a swing short, then the attempts are easier to make, right? They are easier to make when you have that short position that is backing up your swing long attempts. But in a nutshell, if we want to get into that big swing long position, risking 3%. I know some people risk 5% as well. I know people risk, you know, a lot more than that, which you shouldn't. If you want to build up capital long term, you should never risk more than 10-20% of your account. You know, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. What we need to see here is clearly some kind of a bullish, impulsive move, okay? That would have to, you know, really be pretty damn juicy, okay? A big, significant, impulsive move in a 5-wave structure, and then the movement down being extremely overlapping and corrective. That is the clear sign to really say, all right, boys, it's time to not be so bearish and start being, you know, a bit bullish. Because the problem is here, I don't want to be bearish here. I don't want to be bearish. You know, we've been bearish throughout the last few weeks trying to detect this corrective structure, right? The overall idea throughout the last 2 weeks is, guys, you know, we're likely going to come down to $80,000, right? Minus 80K. It's just a matter of time at this point when we look at the probabilities. There's nothing bullish from the low here of November at 80.5K. 3-wave structure. We don't know how we're going to correct here. You know, it might be a running flat, it might be a triangle, it might be whatever, right? A WXY. we just realized that we are likely going to come into a third wave breakdown here in the next 1 to 2 weeks. It's just a matter of time. In the very near future, we're looking for this movement down. But the good thing is that we had a 3-wave corrective structure on the higher time frame, right, from November, the higher lows. The low here that was created at 80.5k. This was very corrective. We had the impulse down. This counted very nicely as an impulse already to the downside that we had from 98k. So what happens when you got the first leg down as an impulse? We're looking for a corrective range and the third wave to come, regardless if it's a third wave or if it's a C wave. We don't know really. We are speculating today that it could be a C wave, right? It could be a ABC, maybe. This is the whole flat idea. Maybe it is a 3-wave structure. But there's no doubt that there was high probability in getting this leg down throughout the last couple of weeks, right? Which is what the main speculation that we had here to move down. So now that we got that move down, it becomes very interesting to look for longs. I'm sorry, I have to say, right? Shorts, being bearish down here at this moment locally doesn't make too much sense. So that's what we're speculating on right now. And if you want to be confident that this could turn into a flat, look no further. A C wave is always a 5-wave structure in a flat or in a zigzag, right? This 5-wave structure ain't going to form a V shape. If it is going to be fast, inside of this fast move, looking at the weekly chart maybe, or the monthly chart, when you go into the 4-hourly, 2-hourly chart, it's going to look like this, right? That there's going to be some waves inside. And, naturally, you need to go to the lower time frame. So we need that wave. It's going to probably take at least a few days. It is going to take a few days at least till we actually see something that is looking promising for the next coming weeks, which is that wave 1, right? We need that wave 1, just like we had the wave 1 here, or the wave A. We had that wave. We had this 3-wave structure. This is what we're waiting for. Bingo, right? Bingo. We're going to form a correction here. We're going to likely break down in the next 1 to 2 weeks to get below $80,000. So as we don't have that price action, I cannot say this is going to happen, right? Or this has high probability, right? There's no high probability at the moment that this is going to happen, but it could, and we can detect it. We will see this. We will detect it, right? Unfortunately, right now we don't have it. So, when we're confident in this wave to happen is when you have that structure, 3-wave up impulse. We're confident that this could be corrective and that a third wave or a C wave is going to happen. I will be confident in that same scenario for a flat here to maybe get above 98k as soon as the price creates that first initial impulse, right, in a 5-wave structure that could take several days to develop at this point. Then it's going to be looking like, okay, guys, it's time to speculate on the third wave, right? It's time to speculate on this wave, just as we were speculating on this wave, right, throughout last week. So we need information, which is going to be taking a few days to develop here, unfortunately, legends. Okay, so right, that's there is the chance, it's some things to get ready for, and I know a lot of people want answers. Give me answers. What is going to happen? Show me your talent, your knowledge. Give me get the crystal ball out and tell me what's going to happen. Apparently, I don't have one. Okay, what I do know is what could happen. What are the initial stages, of course, to get that local bullish market structure change, and we are going to get ready for it, right? We will get ready for it, right? This short position, you get ready for these shorts. You add to the short, realizing that you have priority with moving down, and this short is built up with confidence throughout that price action. The long will be built up with confidence throughout that new information that we do get eventually. That's going to take a few days, right? It might not even happen, right? So if you are attempting any longs, you just need to play with what you can afford, right? With your risk management, right? In that case. So this is a very attractive scenario, but I have to say, we cannot say it's a high probability move to happen, right? It's something that we are aware that could happen. And, the good thing about this is that we would be counting this movement to the downside as a 3-wave structure in a wave W, right? From all-time high. This would be looking for a flat in your wave X. So bear market continue. I would be very much aware of continuing the bear market naturally in the next coming months. No doubt, I don't think this would be a bullish move to hit all-time high, even though people will get excited, right? If we do get above 98K in the next coming weeks, there's going to be some excitement right there. We're going to start seeing, the news popping out, X going absolutely bananas. We're going to see Michael Saylor and Tom Lee, right, already coming with their extremely bullish posts. Once we get this, that's never going to be good news eventually, but it would still naturally be bearish. Okay, you just be looking for a flat here, and then maybe a zigzag down throughout the end of the year, or maybe a triangle, or maybe, we don't know, right? We're just speculating on the next higher time frame wave that could develop. It could develop. Once we get that pretty clear wave 1 and 2 formation, it's going to be the time to jump in. And hopefully we jump in relatively heavy, because a move up from 80,000, right, to 100K literally, that's a $20,000 move. I want to be participating in that move, but we can't participate heavy as of yet in this swing trade, as we don't have that information, right? But it will come. It will come, just like the movement down, right, to $80,000. High probability at this stage, right? Or everybody has a different way of managing their trade, or managing their trades. But we got the movement down to below $80,000, and profits have been made on that movement, of course. So we don't want to rush in. I kind of want to, I already had the attempt here, as you can see. The position is open. I'm not ashamed of the position. It was part of the plan, but we not successfully back testing that SFP level, right? We got the bounce yesterday of a few $1,000s, but we came straight back beneath it today. So, but still, if this, right, the most bullish case scenario would be forming, there's the other another bullish scenario that I'm going to cover right now. This is one scenario that could happen, right? C wave formation of the flat. We need that 1 wave and 2 wave to be confident. Bear with me here, because naturally we do have some other scenarios, right, that look also very attractive. If this is going to be a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, biggest move happening here, wave 5, someone pointed this out yesterday on the stream, and the wave 1 at this moment, if this is the correct count naturally, is the same size at this moment. Okay, maybe slightly longer at this point, but it's a 1-to-1, right? It is just sitting at the 1-to-1 at the moment, slightly lower. But that means that this wave right over here from your wave 1 is the same length as this one at this point, as you can see, right, with the circle. And that is actually quite common to see. A wave 5 similar in size of your wave 1. Naturally, with that said, you would be looking for this to come to an end stage in the next coming days, give or take maybe a week or 2, if we form that wave 4 internally of this wave 5. So if this is the correct count, and when we focus on the local move to the downside here from this wave 4, right, speculative wave 4, you got your wave 1, your wave 2, your wave 3. Right, this has been the longest one. What would you expect here? Well, you would expect the 4 and the 5, right? And, you know, if this is the case, you are coming down to this insane support zone at the 70K region. If this is a 5-wave move to the downside, it is common, regardless if it's going to be a wave 1 on the higher time frame or it's going to be a wave A, it is common to get to the 4th wave. It is very, very common. And that is sitting above 98K. This naturally would take, 1 to 2 months potentially till you actually get up there. 5-wave move down, B wave or wave 2, it is actually very common to get above the 4th wave. We got many examples of that because, from all-time high, where you have your wave 1, wave 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You can see it right there. 4th wave, that's where you got with this price action to just continue later on, right? 3-wave up. This is like a textbook, impulsive move down and a corrective move all the way up to the 4th wave. It's just something. And this is just looking at the higher time frame, right? This would be the same thing, but like on the, daily or the weekly time frame. So, you can see here how, holy smokes, that bounce in the next coming, coming weeks is very much, it is real, right? It is a real scenario that could happen. I know a lot of people might be super perma bearish and just want to, just see the price coming down to 50K, right? Or 60K in the next couple of weeks, which the reality is that is low probability to happen anytime soon. Okay, based on the waves and based on the timing and the structure, it wouldn't make sense to break down to 60K at this point, this week or next week. So the previous scenario that I explained, which is the ABC flat, is also looking for a bounce in this region with the potential to take out 98K, right? This scenario as well, which is a 5-wave move to the downside, which we could be forming a wave 4 and creating one more low. We are aware of that eventually, but it's just not looking for a breakdown here, right? None of the scenarios are looking for a breakdown next week to 50K. We don't have those scenarios based on the information that we have on the chart. Yes, testing the lows a couple of $1,000s, forming a large wave 4 for a week or two is there, but we don't expect any major big breakdown. So naturally, looking for longs, I know it is very attractive to kind of speculate on, trying to catch the low, guys. Everybody wants to try and catch that long, okay? Even myself with that swing failure pattern from yesterday, which is eventually not succeeding at this point, right? We want to catch that long trade, that bounce. But the reality is that the market is very, very bearish. Okay, it is still moving down. There's no local bullish market structure change, a solid impulsive move up. We've got nothing of that at the moment. But not to worry, because the probabilities of nuking down $10,000 is low. So depending on how you are using your risk management here, okay. Everybody's different as a trader, but let's break down the 30-minute time frame right away. Right, enough of the noise, enough of the speculation here. But just on the higher time frame, these two scenarios are the most attractive. Forming a 5-wave move down, and 5th wave coming to its end stages here. for a larger bounce, you would say a minimum target would be the 382 Fibonacci from the high to the low. So yeah, you would be looking for plus 90k anyway, regardless, with the chance of getting to above 98k, which is the fourth wave. But at least the 382 in this case, if the low is going to be here very close, right? 72, 71, 69. You're still looking for a significant bounce to the 382, which is the most common first target of a retracement after an impulse, right? Over 75% of the times after an impulse, you do hit the 382 Fibonacci, right? So it is a common thing to happen. So, and we understand that, man, you know, do we create this fourth wave right now, another internal fifth wave? We are ready. We are paying close attention to the chart, I'll tell you that. And we will be paying close attention in the next coming days, regardless of the noise and a few more lows that could happen. We are watching the chart with a magnifying glass, right? So we are just ready for the situation. Anyway, if you are interested, naturally, if I'm not on YouTube, more updates, not only on Bitcoin and possible setups and guidance on what's happening, not only with Bitcoin, but also Ethereum and other markets such as silver and the S&P 500, which we are integrating now in the trading community. It is your chance to join in for 2 months for free. Follow the instructions. Send me the word access. It's as simple as signing up, minimum deposit for your own trading. Let's jump you into the trading community. It is a community. Other people are active. They are talking and sharing charts as well every single day. And look no further. If you want to join a trading community, look at the the message down below. Okay, the first link in the description. Let's what things do we need to talk about? I'll go through the comp section in just a second, guys. Okay, bear with me. CVD divergence at the moment are not looking. There's no great information. We got local bearish CVD divergence. Some people are trying to long here, right? This is the problem at the moment, guys. It does make sense to cut that loss. If you did get into the swing failure pattern attempt from the April high at low, and this is as a swing trade, this loss should not affect you by nothing. Do you think, if this is down 1,005 for me anyway, this is a very, very small loss for me. I can cut this trade right now and I'll be like, yeah, screw that. It doesn't matter. But if you did attempt that swing failure pattern from the April higher lows of 2025, it did not reclaim that low successfully. With today's price action, we're trading beneath it. So we did get the little bounce of a few $1,000s, but then we're back down today. With that said, it makes sense to say, right, I'm cutting here. I'm cutting the loss. Because you didn't swing failure pattern successfully as of yet, right? It might happen on the weekly time frame. That's another thing, right? If you take a look at the weekly chart, this could still be a wick. You could still move down a couple of $1,000s, and throughout Friday, right, or even the weekend, it just creates a wick, right? This could still be a wick here and close above that pivot low. So it might create the swing failure pattern on the weekly time frame, right? Anyway, let's break down these movements, okay, legends? We need to break down the lower time frame movements because Divine Hood here, shout out to him, shout out to CBM, shout out to Devil, shout out to everybody in the comment section. It's not going to 98k again. With the bearish sentiment and knowing that we are in a bear market, I understand that. The macro, after failing into it, which has never happened in its entire history. It is going to 50k, 54k in May. BTC miners are moving towards AI for profit. This is something very insane as well when we do take a look at the difficulty of mining and being profitable for Bitcoin. Bitcoin machines, it requires new equipment, new machines every single year at this point, because every year there's a better one. And the electricity that you need, of course, with the competition that there is just extremely expensive. It is a struggle for Bitcoin miners to be profitable at this point. And that is a little bit of an issue in the short term. There's no doubt about it. Long term, the protocol already will balance it. But yeah, there's without a doubt a little bit of an issue on that side in the short term, which we're not here to speculate on, but something to point out, which is interesting when that's like a fundamental thing, right? For Bitcoin. Somebody pointed this out here in the comment section. Anyway, diving in here. Through the lower time frame, I think 1 hour time frame does make sense at this point to cover on the price of Bitcoin. So the main scenarios at this moment, there is an extremely bearish case scenario which is breaking down, which Devil pointed out in the community. Okay, we just want to be aware here if the volume does increase on a big shakeout to the downside here, and that is forming multiple 1-2s. Shout out to you, Devil. Okay, shout out to you, Devil. Devil was here in the comment section not long ago, and there is a pretty insane bearish scenario, which is possible. I'm not counting on it. I am personally not counting on it, but it won't be the first time or the last that I would be wrong on that low probability scenario. But I was just gonna share the scenario here on YouTube that Devil pointed out, which is literally getting a bigger breakdown here and forming multiple 1-2s. Anyway, we won't share it because there's a few messages that we do not want to share here. So the thing is, here about the most bearish case scenario. Could you fit also multiple 1-2s in this movement that we had from 90k? I have to say, it wouldn't. The probabilities are low. If we are looking for this to be a wave 1 and a wave 2, and this another wave 1, and this potentially a wave 2 right there, regardless if it is a flat or not. And then we have the breakdown that hasn't even started, and your wave 3 here hasn't even halfway developed. I have to give this the lowest probability scenario, right? Where you're looking to break down seriously to 60k and maybe even $50,000 in the next coming weeks. In this sentiment that the bearish sentiment that there is right now, it is pretty insane, right? And it's a bit too much of bearish sentiment for this to succeed, because where there's more people bearish at this point. Let me talk about it. I mean, let's do a poll here, guys. Let's do a poll before we continue with the analysis, because I seriously need to know the opinion. Long time since we haven't created a poll based on the general sentiment, and there's 600 people right now, over 600 people, and it's the perfect time. Don't go away. We're going to do a poll right now based on the sentiment. Stay around, at least vote. Then you can piss off if you want, but get your votes in, because I'm seriously interested in knowing the general opinion. Don't piss off. Only joking. Let's talk about what comes first. What comes first for Bitcoin? We like those ones. What comes first for Bitcoin? All right, and what comes first for Bitcoin? We are trading at 73k. It may, 50k. Okay, let's say 50k, because we're literally in the middle. 50,000 or 98,000. That kind of works. We're in the middle. All right, we got it. 50k Bitcoin. or 98k, right? Which is the highs of this range that we formed in the last couple of months. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good poll. Okay. Let's get that one in. And then we'll continue with the lower time frame. Get your votes in, legends, because this is going to be... I can't vote. I don't want people to vote based on what I say. I'm just going to randomly vote something, but this is just for the sentiment and to see here for the next coming weeks what people are speculating on. Okay, get your votes in right now, legends. Oh my god, no way. 98k is winning. 98k. I mean, 50k is very low, I have to say. 50k is a little bit too low, right? But get your... Oh, sorry, got a super chat here from my man Magical Pop 207. Thanks for the $10, my man. I was gonna have a cappuccino with a cake or a beer. I'll decide tomorrow with that. Much love to you. Shout out to everyone trying to make sense of everything. Just remember, not such thing as easy free money, no doubt. Buy the blood at a DCA, have patience and enjoy the reward later. That is completely true. I was very vocal about start DCAing on Bitcoin below 80,000. I'm happy to DCA all the way down to 40,000. I know that it is a realistic zone for this bear market to get beneath this higher low. That could also be a wave 4. This could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and you either have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in an ending diagonal. But this is very fourth wave price action. It's very long. This was in 2024. I would say that as soon as you cross this pivot, if we do so in the next coming months, holy crap, that we're getting extremely close to the low of the bear market. In my opinion, if we get below $50,000 in the next coming months, I would DCA like crazy, and I would look for... I'm not that interested in like swing longs for like to hold for 2 years. Like, I think it's just better to really, go... I will go heavily with on spot. It's just much easier. Swing longs that take months and months, you can pay a premium in fees for that long trade. So just buying a huge amount of spot if we get below $50,000 is going to be my plan anyway. We'll have to leave some cash on the sidelines if we do get that opportunity. I only bought a little bit of Bitcoin as we lost $80,000. Okay, it does make sense to start DCAing for the next coming months on this downtrend. Anyway, as somebody was pointing out here on a super chat, much love, Magical Pop. Thank you very much for the super chat, brother. Hi Andy, is it a chance only 86, 89k as max reverse? Hi Andy, is it a chance only 86, 89 as max reversal? 86 to 89. Okay, yeah, is there a chance of only hitting 86 to $89,000 and then actually breaking down, so forming a lower high? Absolutely, there is that possibility. However, there's definitely that chance, of course. Okay, and that chance would come instead of looking at all of this being a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or forming that 3-wave down, 3-wave up, 3-wave down, and form the flat here to form your X wave, right? You've got your WX, and then your Y wave could be a zigzag down, or it could be a long triangle or a flat scenario here. And then bull market, of course, starts by the end of the year. But there is that scenario where this is your wave W in a 3-wave structure. That's your wave X. And right now, you would have only your A wave of the zigzag down that's still on the formation naturally. So, I mean, it would make sense for that, without a doubt, to develop in the next coming months. Thank you for the super chat. We didn't actually cover this on the higher time frame, but is there a chance, right? As someone said here on the super chat, that's what I understood. Only to 86, 89K as max, okay, and then reversal. Without a doubt, that's a scenario, right? We would still have to form that fourth wave internally here, or a few 4-5s, right, which is chopping down below 72, maybe 70K, regardless if it's going to be a few 4-5. So you've got a 1 2 1 2 3 and you form 4-5s here, or you actually form that longer fourth wave that could last 1 to 2 weeks even, realizing that your wave 2 is quite long, and then finish your A wave here in a matter of a few weeks, right? Fifth wave, and then you get the bounce. So what would that be is potentially we would have to be monitoring this in the next few weeks, okay? Entering into March, very, very likely. But that would only be a 5-wave move down to form your A wave, right? Of your zigzag of your Y wave. So we're looking for a Y wave here and a zigzag. Your A wave is a 5-wave structure. Somebody asking, could you only bounce to the 86, 89K zone? That's, a reality, of course, that could happen in the next couple of months. Coming up to the 50% golden pocket zone, coming to the point of control of this range that we left behind in the last few months, right? November till January, we had this, point of control would be sitting, depending on where the low is going to be created here, at 86, 89K area, right? Golden pocket, 50% to the 7/8 Fibonacci area, point of control of this range of the last few months. And then, we bounce to that territory here, and then we absolutely nuke later on. So whatever bounce happens in a B wave, which can be a WXY, a double zigzag, could be many different corrective structures. But you got such a huge amount of resistance at this 86 to 89K zone, which is the value area zone of November to January, 3 months, right? Point of control. It makes sense to really maybe reject in the territory, just to only form another 5-wave move down here in the next coming months to form that Y wave, right? So yeah, this is still very much one of the scenarios that could happen in the next coming months as the bearish case, and you don't take out 98K. Some people are obviously not agreeing about not hitting 98K. There is a chance of not hitting it in this bear market in the next coming months, and we actually form a lower high and go lower here. We would just be looking for a 3-wave down from all-time high, your wave X, and we're just forming the A wave here. But you're still looking for that bounce regardless, right? To that 90K region, maybe below 90K in this case. Obviously you've got that high point of control from November to January at 87K, 88K almost. And you could also fake out inside of the value of the range, right? So you can fake out the entry above the point of control and lose it, and then roll over. We'll be paying attention to see what happens here on the higher time frame in the next coming months if we get up there. Well, that's a big level to take into consideration. That would only be forming on the higher time frame a double zigzag, right? Which is zigzag down correction, and now you're still busy only with the A wave, right? Looking at the 4-hourly time frame, and you probably don't even have your wave 4. Then you create the wave 5. This is just a higher time frame picture, of course, on what could happen, and you're just literally downtrending in a lower highs on the higher time frame double zigzag, which has the potential to go down to the 50K territory, right? Which at the end of the day would be sweeping up those higher lows That's where I would say, guys, we're coming close to the low of the bear market. Time to really get in heavy here. I mean, I will talk for myself eventually. So yeah, we'll see how this could develop in the next coming months. But yeah, nice one, because someone said here, you know, is there a chance of max level 86 to 89k to then only, you know, reverse? Let's go through the comment section. We need to cover a little bit of the 30-minute time frame here. Shout out to you here. Thanks for the super chat. RVM3. Buy the fear, says Arturo Arroyo. Much love to you. Simon Jones, 80k or 67k seems reasonable. All right, for the poll, you mean. Anyway, let's take a look here. There's over 295 votes, guys. We got over 600 people. Do me a favor. Get some votes in. We'll go through the votes and some more comments here. Smash up the like button. Let me do a like button recount. We should be at least above 300. Oh, man, 209. Let me go around the table. Smash up the like button. Subscribe if you're new. And get your votes in, because we'll talk about the votes here. It's a 50-50. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Let me just get a drink of water, go around the table, and I'll go through the comment section. Thanks, legends. Okay. Let's go. Time for comment section. Hair's a little bit crazy there at the back. No one said anything. I think nobody cares. Right. What comes first for Bitcoin, guys? $50,000 Bitcoin or $98,000? It is a 50-50 almost. 98k slightly winning here. Slightly winning. Man, it's a 50-50 here inside of the community. CBM, Crypto by Mattia. Go and check out this legend, guys, because he's an absolute legend. Great content, great technical analysis, great fundamentalist. Much love. Well, Chichan, much love. I see neither want to be bullish nor bearish, although I have to say this heavy discount is really triggering something inside me. But if you look at stocks and commodities, that is the bad thing about, you know, obviously gold and silver rallying so much. The S&P 500 at all-time high. When that pulls back, we know Bitcoin is likely going to pull back with them. Okay, Bitcoin will not stand the correction on with gold and the S&P 500. You know what is interesting as well as a major level, not only this consolidation, you know, when we take a look at Bybit chart, this major range, right? Obviously the point of control sitting at 68k. The anchored VWAP, guys, from the bear market low of 2022 is coming up exactly, right, at the $68,000 level, 70 to 68k. It's just such a very good level, right? Major resistance support flip, right? This was a massive sell wall right there, right? Big sell wall here at the 70k region, which naturally can become a buying wall as well, right? Good support. People would be interested in buying as we lose this higher low in this territory. So the bounce from this zone is high probability. Of course, it's noisy, it's choppy. We test the lows. We've lost the SFP from the April higher low at the moment. But it is a little bit, it is noisy without a doubt. But this is on the higher time frame. It's just such a good level. And when we take a look at the waves internally on the lower time frame, it is just looking extremely sexy to get that exhaustion in the next coming days, right? We're losing the lows here at the moment. Lost the SFP level. I just don't see a major breakdown at this point from here. like a big breakdown, you know, for the price to break down here in the next coming days, right? And we form a massive weekly candlestick down to 50K. You know, I don't see this happening, even though, holy smokes, we'll have to run. I'll have to sell, you know, a lot of my, you know, I'll have to sell a couple of watches and sell my car and sell a few things to. I'm happy with the cash actually that I have, but I would go really, really heavy if that were to happen. I don't think it will, naturally, when we consider obviously professional technical analysis on the lower time frame, which is you know, this would not be the scenario that I would expect eventually to move down here aggressively with a huge amount of volume and a big move down. So shorts are winning. Long attempt losing, of course. It's not breaking down. It has low volume. It's testing the lows at the moment. We're moving down here, so it is wanting to lose the lows, but you know, we saw what, you know, when you have this kind of price action and you don't absolutely nuke, I wouldn't be, there's no major levels here to catch a low, or no SFP. There's no solid SFP level here, unfortunately. So like new longs entering in this territory is not attractive. Let's see if this wants to load. New longs are not attractive here, unfortunately. Like as scalps, I mean. Value area high of this territory is actually an interesting value area high of range. That's not too far off. That could provide some support, but yeah, on the lower time frame, what could be on the formation here that could be a little bit tricky, here, is if this is your on the lower time from the 90K high. You know, I assume we could speculate on it. We could definitely speculate on a diagonal here to be on the formation where you have a 1, 2, your wave 3 right here, unless your wave 3 finished here. It doesn't matter if this is a running flat or this is the low. It doesn't really matter. That's your lower high. And you form a diagonal. Right, you create that little bounce here, and then you form another low, and then you get the larger bounce, right, entering into next week potentially. There is a possibility of a diagonal formation. That's if we get another bounce and then we create another low. If this is going to bounce and not break down, and it's just forming slightly lower lows, and it's really losing momentum, you know, the bears are losing steam here with the volume. It doesn't create that breakdown. And it still chops, you know, volume decreasing from the biggest move that we had last week. You know, it's just looking for exhaustion. The bears are getting exhausted here to push the price down, which naturally creates that that buying pressure that could kick in eventually in the coming days. So a diagonal here for a wave 5, I think it is important depending on which one it is, because if we do take out this low, for the wave 3, then there is a problem here. Wave 3 is smaller than your wave 1. Wave 3 cannot be the smallest if this is a flat. Yeah, you can't go much. You can't hit $70,000 literally. If this is the low, if this is the low, which is possible for that wave 3, then it doesn't really matter, because then your wave 3 would be slightly longer if that is the low. I don't like this low really. I do prefer it to count it as a flat. Yeah, diagonal here is a possibility. A diagonal here is a possibility. I mean, from that high, yeah. It doesn't look too sexy like this. If we create this bounce from this zone, and then we test the lows again, we could definitely fit here an ending diagonal in a wave 5 for this structure. And it's just it is looking relatively attractive, without a doubt, to see the end stages of this move. We're just trying to figure out here, how is it going to end? You also have the higher time frame picture, which is from 98k, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 here, and this is just a very, very confusing wave 4 that is still going to be on the formation. You might get a larger bounce. You know, the problem with this zone is that you would have this maybe being a flat, okay, for your wave W, right? There's going to be a little bit too much noise here, but that would be your running flat for your wave W. Zigzag move here for your wave X, or a double zigzag even. Wave X can be really anything to the downside, and then you form your wave Y. That could be a zigzag move up. Because your wave W is a possible flat, wave X could be really anything. Wave X could still be on the formation here, but if this were to be the 3 wave down in a wave X, you know, you could form a zigzag up and then move down again. You're just continuing the downtrend, but this is where your wave 5 would develop as an impulse. Yeah, it seems, you know, we could be in wave 4 territory here. You know, this could still be ranging, not breaking down aggressively as of yet. The problem is here that I don't see the price nuking down, right, $10,000 right from here, like really capitulating. I don't see that happening. So it's really trying to figure out here, you know, do we form that ending diagonal? Do we form an ending diagonal here? We don't have much room for the ending diagonal to break down much lower here at this point. We could only move down a few $100 more. But that would be already a very good sign. If we were to get a bounce in the next coming hours, right, we don't go down much lower, we form that bounce, we already get back above this level, and we form another low here. We could be really looking for more internally for that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. It is possible. Volume is decreasing. We're not breaking down from the recent lows, so we are lagging with selling pressure here at the moment. So that's one, you know, it's a possibility that could happen. We do have that value area high of this trading zone, which would be the most important zone. You don't want to get acceptance inside of the value area high of this zone. You don't want to really lose it. So any movement down here, you also have the point of control, which is sitting at 67.5k. Interesting indeed. I'm interested to see what's happening with gold and silver. What's gold doing? Gold and silver not, had a little bit of a pullback here today, nothing too aggressive. ES breaking down. Yeah, talked about a possible bounce here on the ES, but we got rejected at the point of control. Yeah, stock market is dumping, and that's not helping Bitcoin naturally. Stock market dumping as we speak, coming back down to this higher low that was created on Monday. This is not helping Bitcoin eventually for that bounce. If stock market were to lose the lows here, if we don't get a reaction, get back inside of the range, and we lose it here, get down to this low, that's not going to help Bitcoin naturally, right? There is that correlation with the stock market and Bitcoin. So stock market taking a bit of a hit here, got resistance at the point of control here. I did talk about a potential bullish scenario here where if you did reclaim the point of control, it could be interesting to look for longs. What was interesting here on the stock market is that you had a pretty solid 5-wave move to the upside where the price was getting exhausted. So you got a few, either leading diagonal right there, your wave 3, and then the exhaustion right there as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Naturally, rejecting here throughout the last 24 hours pretty aggressively. Bounce back test of the point of control of this range. Holy smokes, this is like picture perfect. Didn't check the stock market today, but yeah, you got that beautiful back test of the point of control on the stock market just to come back down to revisit the lows. So as we are coming down to the lows here, of Monday, I mean, this is a reactionary zone. Stock market could definitely react here and get a significant bounce. Lows were not tested. That's what the stock market likes to do, right? You test a major pivot low as well inside of a range, and you get the rally. So you're back down at the low here, where it has been bought up several times, right? A couple of times this week. The 6,850 point zone. So this is a bouncing territory that would help Bitcoin naturally to actually not lose its peg here. So yeah, the S&P 500 is in a bouncing area. It is in an area where it could bounce, and that Bitcoin needs that. Bitcoin needs the strength of the stock market. But it's very, very, I do see that happening here. I mean, I think a lot of people are very much anticipating that the stock market is going to get a 10% correction in the coming, months, if not weeks. It kind of looks very, very exhaustive, but there's, we've been hitting all-time highs throughout the last few weeks here, and we're still heavy, uptrending for the last 6 months here, right? The highs have been very, very choppy, but you're still forming higher lows. It does look like it wants to lose it at some point and then get a big correction. That will not be good for Bitcoin, regardless if you hit the highs again. Because we have been hitting all-time highs consistently in the last few months and even last couple of weeks here. But you're kind of waiting for that big correction, right? That big move down of 10% on the stock market to happen at some stage, as this is really looking like it's getting exhausted for many, many months here. So when is that move going to happen? Is it going to happen in the next few days? Is it going to take the highs one more time? When is it exactly going to happen, that big move down? Once that happens to the stock market, then we need to pay attention on where Bitcoin is sitting at, which obviously could bring that big major move down for Bitcoin also. Anyway, Bitcoin not breaking down, it's just testing the lows, no volatility. This is very, very common price action when you've had the volatility created last week down. It's getting exhausted in this territory. And, we are looking for that reversal after this rangy noise price action that is happening in this zone to finish potentially in the coming days and get ready for that swing long position. Get ready for the bigger swing long position. And I know it does not look attractive on the lower time frame. It's very heavily downtrending, but I know what I'm talking about. We just need to be a little bit patient to be heavy on a swing long here for the bullish scenarios on the higher time frame. Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have them at the moment. And we're looking at the price action to be developing a few 4-5s, maybe create that larger complex WXY, which is going to be a little bit noisy, and then test the lows later on, or create here 4-5s throughout the next coming days and then get the reversal, right? Naturally, that reversal, we need that first leg up to be confident in a bigger swing long position. Okay, I have no big swing longs, just that smaller one. It was the SFP, could have closed this already, but for me it's not much. And I want to make this a big position. Like, I wanted to create a big position on the short position, but we don't have the information to get a big swing long here. Unfortunately, we had a little attempt yesterday, but as it was lost, it does make sense to, if you're heavy in that position, which is not my case, this is a small position for me, you can cut the losses straight away, understanding that we did not swing failure pattern from the April higher lows. It makes sense. If you lose it, which we did today, you want to cut the losses, depending if you're trading it as a scalp or as a swing. Everybody has their different risk management. But I'm very, very interested in looking for that bounce in the next coming days, potentially. We just need to analyze the structure here together on the live stream, and we will get that information, of course. The legends the trading community will be updated first of all. And guys, remember that you do have 2 months access right now inside of the trading community. It's your opportunity to get 2 months access for free, and it's super simple to join. You just need to sign up with one of the affiliate links down below, either Bluffin, Velto. Minimum deposit, that's for your own trading, will get you 2 months for free, so you can see what it's all about, guys. Send me the DM access to the Telegram, and let's jump you in the trading community. Alt season cancelled. I've got a significant bag of Chainlink, and it's literally at almost break even. It's literally at break even at this. No, well, it is slightly in a profit. The good thing is that I haven't lost on this one. Okay, it's my biggest altcoin bag, which was accumulated in this region. So, basically break even almost. It's in a slight profit from most of my Chainlink that I bought here throughout 2022 and 2023. Big accumulation zone. Did not sell Chainlink, guys. I've been a Chainlink buyer since 2019 at $1.60 and bought more in the bear market in this zone, and almost at break even at the moment with Chainlink. Holy smokes. Play with altcoins and you'll find out, right? Obviously I don't buy the hype on altcoins. You don't want to buy altcoins when it's looking bullish potentially. But overall, if we do form if we start ranging in the coming months here in this $5-9 zone again, I would be tempted to buy some more. But holy crap, I was I was ready to unload my Chainlink this cycle, and my idea here, my plan was to unload Chainlink above $30 already. I was saying all-time high a few years ago, but this cycle I was like, screw that. I'm already up a 4x on Chainlink. As soon as we cross $30, I'm gonna get out significantly. It never came. So play with altcoins and you'll find out. I did find out this cycle hasn't been the greatest for altcoins on my side. I think for anybody. I'm not a heavy altcoin investor. I think I have about 20% of my portfolio being altcoins, and it's been the worst, guys, right? I haven't made any solid profits on altcoins, mainly a few losses. So that's the game that we've played, and your portfolio should be always, big amount of Bitcoin, in my opinion. Okay, no financial advice, of course, but Bitcoin, Ethereum, but Ethereum hasn't done that well. Also, did manage to sell a bit of Ethereum at the all-time high. 20% was unloaded. We were very vocal on that on the channel. Does anybody want me to take a look at Ethereum? Ethereum's at a very interesting zone. It is at a very, very interesting area. But I did manage to unload 20%, and that was just literally getting almost my money back that I invested in Ethereum. No major profits, really. But we were very vocal about this on the channel, saying, guys, I've sold 20% of my entire stack that I've, bought in the last few years on Ethereum, which is not enough. It's not enough, guys, but we were buying up into the bullish momentum. I think everybody got caught on altcoins in this cycle. But as it's not my heavy investment, it's okay, right? When you are well diversified in your investments, you just take the hit, right? You didn't take profits. Well, it is what it is. Enough profits, right? You didn't take enough profits. Anyway, when we talk about trading on Ethereum is at a pretty interesting zone. Coming up to sweep those lows, I do see Ethereum also getting that bounce naturally. We are looking for a bounce on Bitcoin. We are looking for Bitcoin to hold the 70k region, regardless if it hits 68 or not. And we would expect that bounce as well for Ethereum on the higher time frame. Naturally, if the king gets the bounce, look no further. There's going to be a lot of the top 100 altcoins getting that bounce as well. So if we are looking for Bitcoin to get that bounce, naturally, Ethereum would also get that bounce as well, right? So let's go with the levels here. I mean, look, you can see it for yourself, right? It's coming at the Valley area low from this trading range. We ain't going to count this range, really. From this larger, big range, it makes a lot of sense here to fake out from this territory. If it does not fake out, I think we're already hitting the 7-8 Fibonacci. Yeah, 7-8 literally is being hit here. The next major zone for Ethereum would be coming down to the 1,800. It really depends on what Bitcoin does. But yeah, if Ethereum does manage, also with Bitcoin, I would be eyeing Ethereum very, very much here in the next coming days as well. Because Ethereum, similar to Bitcoin, where from this high over here, you do have that 1, 2, 3. You could be forming that 4 and 5 and then get the larger bounce. Unless, it really depends on what Bitcoin does. I'm not going to, if Bitcoin goes down, expect all of them to go down, right? Or 99% of them to go down. So it really depends on Bitcoin. This is why we don't generally look at altcoins, but it's going to be looking interesting for Ethereum on the lower time frames, depending on what Bitcoin does, and we get those signs of strength in the next coming days once this downtrend finishes locally here, because it is at a major support zone. You're sweeping up that higher low from June, and you're at the value area low here from the price action since November of 2023, right? If you're counting all of this as a big range, it is at support, and fake outs are expected from this 2,100 zone to then get that bounce. As we are in a bear market, you know, we can't expect much of the bounces, right? You can't expect a bounce to all-time high in the coming months. But yes, a bounce of, you know, $400 or $500 on Ethereum is very real here in the bear market. So interesting support where we are on the higher time frame, as well as Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is at support. We like it or not, at a support zone. Yeah, it is looking interesting as well to look for longs on Ethereum on the higher time frame when we consider swings, right? Naturally, on the 5-minute time frame, it's good to look for scalp shorts, right? The bouncers looking for shorts as well, as we are heavily downtrending. But I'm talking about mainly the higher time frames looking interesting for that bigger bounce for Bitcoin, and naturally here for Ethereum when we take into consideration the confluent zone. So anyway, let's go through the comment section. Much love. Altcoin season cancelled. I was thinking about why the heck did we shift to altcoins? And the main reason was somebody said altcoin season cancelled. Yes. Brother, is TON currency currently valid for entry? I work in Ramsden and work. I'm not sure if I understand that question. Do a chain link giveaway, Andy. Man, we could do a chain link giveaway. Why not? No bounce burger. Are we losing BTC, guys? Solana. Are we going to die? Says Crypto Cowboy Oz. My voice is so bearish. Whose voice is so bearish? Mine? I mean, we are in a bear market. We are downtrending. But we realize about the bounce potential here on Bitcoin on the higher time frame, okay? We are at bounce potential territory on the higher time frame. Naturally, the lower time frame absolutely sucks, right? Still downtrending from last week's dump. But, you know, we were very much aware of the dump. Now it's just a bunch of noise, testing the lows, little movements of a couple of $1,000s. The bigger move happened last week, right? Which we were very much aware of. It was the highest probability scenario after whatever happened here to get this movement down, to get below 80,000. It was just primed. This was the main high probability scenario to happen, you know, in the next 1 to 2 weeks. And this is the big trade. You know, unfortunately, I didn't get into a massive trade. I mean, it is big enough. I'm happy with it, actually. But I wanted to get, you know, I wanted to make a few 100K here on this movement down. And so far, it is just above 50K on that trade at the moment. Did take over 20K profit already. But I wanted to build this a little bit more heavy. But this is the same thing, right? I should have sold more Bitcoin at the high. I should have got into a bigger position. You get into the position size that you are comfortable with. And I was comfortable with this, you know, building up this position. But this is the same story of everybody, right? That is trading or investing, right? Why didn't I get in more? Why didn't I take more profit? Why didn't I risk less if you get stopped out? Or why didn't I, you know, it's an emotional game, and you need to control your emotions and be happy with what you're risking, basically, right? But I sold 15% of my Bitcoin at 124K approximately. was very vocal about this on the channel on a live stream, guys. I've sold 15% of my Bitcoin here when we were hitting 126k. We were rejecting already, so I didn't sell at the high eventually, but as we did hit all-time high the next day. I decided, you guys, I'm selling 15% of my entire spot stack. And you think, well, why didn't you sell more, right? why didn't I sell 100% here? You know, I'll be buying, you know, almost double the amount here very, very soon, right? You DCA out, right? You DCA in. It's the plan when we consider investing, right? Anyway, just talking a bit of my story here. When will you go long on BTC? You know, hey, I'm in a small long position that is in a loss. It is treated as a swing trade, and the idea was to build up this position on a sign of strength, but we didn't get the sign of strength. So I did explain that cutting this trade in a loss does make sense, because the idea, and this is what I teach a lot here on the channel, is if you swing failure pattern from a major pivot, which we did have the attempt yesterday, but then you lose it, it doesn't backtest as support. You could give it a little bit of time naturally to see if it is going to get the bounce. Once you lose it, you know, you can already cut the loss. You know, it is acceptable to cut the loss here. Because what you want to see from that April high or low is to get supported, back test it as support, which did not happen today, right? So it does make sense to cut on the loss. And when you say, when are you going to get into the long position? The best way, instead of trying to catch this SFP, which you can already cut the loss as explained if you lose the level, is look for that market structure change. Naturally, once you get the market structure change, whenever that happens in an impulse, you have that natural feeling of, holy crap, I missed the move, right? I want to be in the first market structure change, right? I want to be the guy that catches the low. I want to be the guy that gets into the first move up. To just brag about the position. It doesn't work like that. You can attempt it, but you need to manage risk as explained. You know, I'm happy with that small position, but the best ideal scenario is get that market structure change with an impulse, and then obviously get that corrective move to the downside, right? That bull flag. This is the moment that you want to be more confident, right, in that long position, and to be participating in the potential wave 3 that could happen in the next coming weeks, right? Or another 1, 2, and then the 3, right? But yeah, you want to see that structure change to be confident in that big, heavy, long position. And unfortunately, we don't have it. We failed the swing failure pattern. So naturally losing this low, it could, you know, move down a couple of more $1,000, then get the bounce. But yeah, you know, what can we say? It's still downtrending. It's still noisy. Some slightly more lower lows to 70k, maybe hit 68k, and then we'll monitor the price action to get into the bigger long position. But yeah, this is looking very, very good naturally for that bounce. It's just going to be a little bit noisy, as explained. I expect it to be noisy. We are downtrending, but the biggest move happened last week, right? And right now we did get that first little stop. So, you know, this is probably just going to create a little bit of noise here at the low 70k region, right? With potential of maybe hitting 68k or so. But it's the noisy environment, right, that could develop for many days from here. So I do expect this more than actually breaking down with a big move, right, of $10,000 to get to 60k. I don't expect that to happen. So it depends on you know, how you're managing risk here. You know, if you go in 100x long with 50% of your account here because you want to catch the low, you're going to get, you know, you can get burnt. You don't want to do that, right? You don't want to do that. I'm assuming we waterfalled for 5 hours straight, says Anti-Man Winkle. Waterfalled for 5 hours straight here. Yeah, it was pretty aggressive. Pretty aggressive move down here, back to the lows. But so you're assuming no retrace to go lower. We didn't expect breaking down since 100k. Assuming that retrace goes lower, I don't assume that we're going to go much lower. Andy, we're praying for your longs. Yeah, and you know, the thing about this long is that, you know, I'm very, very much hedged as well, and it's a small position. But I would be wanting to get back into I'm looking for longs here, seriously. This was a swing failure pattern attempt, and it does make sense to close this position till we actually see a sign of strength. There's no major SFP levels on the higher time frame. There is a reclaim of the value area high of this trading zone, which could be a possible attempt, which is coming down to this area. What is interesting to see here is on Bybit, which is slightly different from Coinbase, the anchored VWAP from the bear market low, which is coming exactly into this value area high and point of control, which is, you know, sitting in between 68 and 70k. So yeah, I mean, it's just a very, very strong zone, very, very strong zone. You know, as explained, I wouldn't expect a major breakdown from here, especially considering the lower time frame, right? We are analyzing this price action very carefully, and it doesn't make sense to break down from here with the move down that we got last week. So if we were to move down a couple of $1,000, you know, reclaiming that value area high of this trading zone, it's just going to be a bit choppy and noisy, in my opinion, until the bounce actually happens. So, you know, if you want to remain patient and you want to get into the highest probability setup, I mean, look no further. It is seriously that simple. You know, I always say there's two ways of trading. There's try to catch the high. I mean, this anchored VWAP, I have to say, this was a very, very acceptable entry for a short at 97k, because we did reject exactly at the anchored VWAP from all-time high. You know, you either catch the you know, a failed breakout from a confluent zone, either an SFB or either a failed breakout from an anchored VWAP or a point of control. If you have a massive point of control here, which was the case. What price action do we have here? Yeah, I think it was here. Whoops, my bad. Was it in this zone? No. There was a point of control that was tested here. I think it was here. Yeah, literally, right? You know, you either look to catch that, tap into the point of control, right? In this case, you know, if you either attempt to catch the high at a major confluent zone, as the only way you can get into a trade to catch the low or catch the high. It has to be a big confluence area. Point of control, VWAP, you catch the high. And the other way to get in, right, here we had the SFP from April higher low, which is failing. But I know there's going to be some noise here. This is just going to be noisy. Test the lows a few times, and I don't expect a breakdown. But you either catch the high to get the wave 1 or the wave A, which is, you know, very complex. You just need to manage risk. You don't go in heavy. You know, if I'm trying to attempt to catch the high or the low, I don't go in heavy. because I know, price could break, volume increases. I don't want to lose a significant amount. So I go in low and I can build up that position as a swing once I get the confirmation 5-wave structure down and the corrective move. And looking at the general structure, that's where you want to start looking for heavy short positions to understand it's a matter of days that we are, likely going to come down to 80,000 minus 80K. That is the big position. That is the big one. That is the other trade setup. So you either catch the high, which is risky. It is difficult. You need to manage risk. You don't need to go in heavy. And where you go in heavy is when you have the confirmation impulse down and you realize that you're looking for a corrective range here to happen. And, obviously look for the breakdown to below $80,000. So with that said, we need to see that impulsive move to the upside here, right? And that corrective price action. And that's only to speculate on the next move up, which we could say could be relatively big, either in a wave C or a wave 3. We don't know. So you either catch the high, or you try and catch the low, or you wait for the breakdown and the corrective structure to then join the third wave. You wait for the move up and the correction for your wave 2 or your wave B to get into this wave. So it's seriously, a matter of being, talking about a swing setup here. It's a matter of being patient here for that higher probability move to catch the third wave or the C wave, right? So yeah, exactly. all tennis. There's no trading. There's no crypto channels here. It's mainly tennis. I've been watching tennis the last few days. My feed here is mainly a bit of cooking and a bit of tennis. I have been watching some tennis. Mattia CBM, looking at my feed here. Much love to you, brother. Go and check out CBM, guys, if you don't know who he is. He's an absolute legend. Okay, I'm actually playing tennis with him on Friday, I think, right? If I'm not mistaken. Much love, my man. Thanks for being here. Go and check him out, guys. Go and subscribe to his channel. We are squeezing some shorts. Yeah. Well, man, let's get this drawing out of the way. It's not a zone to be particularly very, very bearish. As explained also, we could be forming an ending diagonal here. Volume is decreasing into support. I don't expect the breakdown as explained since, the last few days. And an ending diagonal here could also be an option. Could also be an option here. Which naturally would, you would expect that bigger bounce to happen, of course, in the next coming days. But there's also the complex wave 4. And the complex wave 4 here, it's just going to be very noisy and very rangy, in my opinion, legends. It's the problem is right now with this largest move down that we've had last week is that, depending on where your wave 3 is, your wave 3 could already be this one. You could be forming a wave 4 and then a wave 5 to tap into 68, 70, 68K, massive support on the higher time frame. But this is the problem right now, where you might have a flat, you have a zigzag down, zigzag up, you form a flat here for your wave X. So you got this is not common really, but you got a wave W in a flat, another flat in your wave X, and then you form a zigzag up in your wave Y, and it's just a very rangy zone, which is common for a wave 4. Maybe a flat, zigzag down right now. You form another WXY here for your wave X, so you got zigzag down, you know, maybe zigzag up and you form a flat here, and just to form your wave X, and that's your wave W, and then you form a zigzag to the upside to finish your wave Y. You know, this is the problem where we're at right now. We could be very much in wave 4 territory here, to then only push down, you know, in the next, you know, 1 to 2 weeks, in a wave 5 to finally get to 70k, 68k, and then the larger bounce happens in 2 weeks, right? Mid-February. You know, you know, it is. But most of the scenarios are not looking for a major breakdown at this point. You know, most of the scenario, you know, I don't have any. There is that multiple 1-2, but multiple 1-2 usually likes to overlap. Your wave 2s like to overlap your wave 1s. If you're forming multiple 1-2s here to break down and capitulate. So it's not common price action for multiple 1-2s, all of this. So, you know, the highest probability is not breaking down here. It's not getting a major breakdown, but rather forming a bit of noise, testing the lows, bouncing. You know, it's going to be a bit noisy in my opinion for the next coming days. Legends, I don't expect any big volatile move either down or either to the upside. I would rather favor the volatile move up than actually the volatile move down. Just understanding, you know, where we at with the waves here, where we at. You know, biggest wave already happened here. So volatile move down, you know, has less probability in my opinion, even though it's downtrending. You might think I'm crazy by talking about it, but a volatile move up, it looks more interesting than actually a volatile move down. You know, 5 to, you know, not 5,000 is low, but $10,000. Anyway, legends, much love to everybody. Let's take a look at the votes here. Over 800 votes. What comes first for Bitcoin? 50k or 98k? 52%. 98k was actually winning about an hour ago, and 50k is winning right now by 2%, almost a 50-50. We have the bulls and bears in a massive battle here in the comment section. Matt the King. Matt is an absolute legend. He is actually in a bigger short from 97k. He's made very, very good profits. He played the game very, very well. I have to give kudos to Mattia here, who's in an epic short. He did build up a very good short. We were actually talking about all of this throughout the last few weeks, right? You know, where do we top out here in this price action that we had a few weeks ago? You know, do we create one more high? Do we manage to hit 100k? It just looked so, it was primed for the movement down here. It was a matter of time here to get this at this point. So well played, CBM. Andy, what is the right setting for anchored VWAP? You know, default is already is good, default, but some exchanges might differ. Okay, I used to, you know, spot exchanges and futures exchanges can differ a little bit, and you need to take both into consideration. But just like point of controls of ranges, I like to take a look at Coinbase, Bybit, or maybe Binance and see where the highest volume nodes are. But yeah, if you do take a look at the anchored VWAP from the low, I used to mainly chart on Bybit US dollar. If you take a look at anchored VWAP on Coinbase on spot from the low of the bear market of 2022, anchored VWAP is very low. You don't have the same anchored VWAP on spot on Coinbase than actually on futures on Bybit. You can take both into consideration, because the same as all-time high here, we did not hit the anchored VWAP on Bybit from all-time high. Anchored VWAP was not hit, as you can see. So, but it did on Coinbase, and it actually rejected on Coinbase. Right, so maybe that question, because you might have an anchored VWAP that is slightly different. Anyway, super cycle, you guys are a joke. There's no super cycle. 50-50 means we are halfway through the bear market. Yes, that is also a good point right there. 50-50 means that we are, based on the votes, that we are halfway through the bear market. It would be, it would be more bullish if actually 70% of the people would say that 50K is coming first. I would be naturally bullish in that case. But there's too many people eventually, so 50-50. If you get 70 people, 70% or 80%, right, saying that 98K is going to come first, then holy smokes, that's actually bearish, the general sentiment is very, very important to consider probabilities as well on the higher time frame. 35K incoming, says Valentino. Much love. Halfway, so another 50K lower. If you want my personal opinion on the bear market lows on the higher time frame, I would say getting beneath the lows here that were formed in August of 2024, which is literally $50,000. As soon as I would say somebody's saying 35K Bitcoin, but yeah, coming down to this territory would be, I would be max DCAing. This would be like heavy DCAing. Right now, I only bought 5% of my cash holdings into Bitcoin as soon as we lost. I realized that we go lower, so you might think, well, why don't you wait for lower, right? But it's a DCA and it's just parking a bit of the cash into Bitcoin in this case for the long term, right? But yeah, I would say that it is realistic for the bear market lows to be in between $40,000 and $50,000. This would be my bear market target zone on the higher time frame eventually, right? For the price to bottom out between 40 and 50K. And that also comes to the conclusion that if this is your wave 1, 2, 3, and 4, wave 5 at this point could have been an ending diagonal. You can fit an ending diagonal here for your wave 5. And wave 4s like to be visited in the corrections. So it kind of makes perfect sense when you understand that coming down to the wave 4 in a correction of the impulse, right, that's like the sweet spot in my opinion. That's where we're likely going to bottom out if we do reach there, of course, right? I'm not saying that we're going to reach there, but it makes sense that $50,000 to $40,000 would be the bottom zone for Bitcoin if we do reach it. That is, if we don't change drastically on the 4-hourly time frame, right, and start seeing some bullish market structure. Because there is a bullish scenario, which is an ABC flat here. What if, and I know this is very wishful thinking at this point, what if this is an ABC flat? Because you can count a double zigzag here to the upside. You can count a flat here. Or a WXY, really. I can't remember this structure now, what it was, but not an impulse as it corrected, right? And we came back up. So corrective 3-wave structure here. Double zigzag up, and you do have a possible impulse here, right, for your wave C. This is very wishful thinking at this point, naturally. But based on Elliot wave theory, there is that chance that you could form the low of the bear market. A lot of people are going to be pissed off with that, saying, this guy's out of his mind. We're in a bear market. Look at the stock market, right? S&P 500. This is about to nuke. Once the S&P 500 takes a dip, holy smokes, you know, I do see that 10% correction happening on the stock market, even though lower time frame we at support. You know, we're ranging, no big moves. This is literally hit all-time high last week, right? Or yeah, last week basically. We know that this is slowing down, but yeah, if we get this kind of correction, this kind of move down in the next coming months, wow, Bitcoin's gonna take a hit. If we do get that 10% move down on the stock market in the next coming months, it's yeah, there's no hope for Bitcoin. I have to say, I don't have any hope on Bitcoin holding well if stock market gets a correction. And we are at that exhaustive moment, right? There is that moment of exhaustion when you're climbing up like this, not breaking the highs. It's a matter of time that you just need a bad news to kick in, right? To just create that capitulation. And Bitcoin will not hold that. It will not hold it. So long oil, yeah, oil looks pretty damn good. Oil does look pretty damn interesting on the higher time frame. I think oil is going to be, holy crap, it's going to be over $100 a barrel in the next coming months, guys. That's not good. That is not good. It's a matter of time that this squeezes out after this this reaccumulation zone. Man, we're going to start paying a premium to fill the tank, guys. I think that is going to be between this year and next year that we do see over $100 a barrel of oil. It's just it's on the charts. We'll hear it in the news at some point. Imagine if BTC is poised for a longer correction to correct the entire impulse from inception. I mean, Bitcoin could disappear from the face of the earth, right? It's a digital currency. So with all of this, I mean, yeah, imagine if it does, you know, they break down the protocol, quantum computers. There's always that risk. There's risk for everything here, guys. Legends, thank you very much for joining today's stream, okay? We got Bitcoin being a little bit noisy here. Not much, not breaking down, getting a little bit of a mini bounce. It is downtrending. Don't expect any volatile moves for Bitcoin to happen to the downside, Legends, okay? Much love to everybody. Thank you very much for joining in today. It was a pleasure to see you reading the comment section. Remember that you do have that opportunity right now to join the trading community for 2 months for free, guys. Super simple. Sign up, deposit with one of the affiliate links down below. It's for your own trading. Join the trading community. We don't do only Bitcoin right now. We're looking at stocks, gold, other commodities. And we have an awesome community, of course, and daily updates and potential setups that we're looking every single day, guys. Send me a DM on Telegram with the word access. Follow the steps and we'll jump you inside of the community. Thank you, Legends. We'll be back tomorrow. Not much happening locally on Bitcoin. I do not expect a major breakdown. Interested in bounces to happen. Much love. Thank you, and I will see you tomorrow.